Hey, Lakeshore, I am here with Brittany Martinez, and I asked her to come in today to share her story because as we've been talking about Invest and Invite here in this Mission Possible series, I wanted her to talk and share about how she has gone about in investing and inviting people since she became a Christian. And Brittany, why don't you just start by giving us a little background on how and where you became a Christian?
Yeah, so I became a Christian 2 years ago. This April is when I accepted Christ into my heart, and I was baptized the next month, so baptized in May of 2021. So yeah, coming up on my 2-year anniversary. And Lakeshore is actually the first church that I ever walked into, and it was really here that I found Christ and found God, and yeah, this is my home, so I'm really excited to invest in other people and invite them here.
What was going through your life that brought you and drew you into church and to learn about God?
So I was going through a really hard time. My daughter, she was 18 months old and first-time mom. And just that period of life was really crazy, and I had a lot of anxiety, and then I developed panic disorder, just from some childhood trauma that I never really dealt with. And so I was really in a bad place mentally. And then I wound up being on Easter Sunday where things got really dark. And even though I had a wonderful life and a wonderful husband, and my daughter was great. I mean, she was a great sleeper and a great eater. And I started feeling like the world would be better off without me. So my thoughts got really dark, and I didn't understand how to process them. And I kept hearing that whole, you're nothing. You'd be better off gone. People wouldn't miss you, and you don't really have much to add to this world. And instead of letting those thoughts overcome me, I lived 3 houses down at the time, so I hopped the fence, and when I say ran over here, I actually did. And the first person I experienced was Dan, who gave me his famous line, "Welcome home." Welcome home. And I mean, that right there, I knew I was in the right place. Whatever, I know that God was working in my life to say, just get up, just get up and walk outside. And when I was out there, that's when the next urge came, like, just jump over that fence. What? Jump over the fence? Jump over that fence and run to that church. And I listened to that, and that's what I did. And so I came, and I listened to the Easter service. And when I left, I came to Next Steps like they advised, and I met Roberta. And I just broke down once Roberta talked to me, and she really helped me give my life to Christ. And and then I knew I was in the right place, and I knew that everything was going to be okay, and everything that had happened in my past was leading me up to that exact moment.
And so after you became a Christian, you started sharing your faith and telling others about what Jesus had done for you. So what was that like?
That part was really interesting. I'm going to mention the fact that Pastor Vince at one point called me a flamethrower, but he meant it well, because as soon as I learned the good news, I went out there and tried to preach it in a forceful way, like, no, I need you to be saved, and this is how you get saved, and you have to do it right now, and don't you want to come with me to heaven? And then after talking to Pastor Vince, we scaled it back, and I dialed back a lot.
So would you say that once you dialed it back and you were more loving, it sounds like, how did people respond to that?
People started taking me more serious, I guess, more seriously. And Pastor Vince actually, in that same conversation, because I was like, well, if I don't demand that they be saved, what do I do? How can I spread the good news and do it in a way that's loving and kind and that interests people? Yeah. And he said, well, you can't argue with a changed life. Right. And he said, so just live it, lead with love, just try and live like Jesus, and, just don't judge, don't force, just they'll get interested, they'll see the changes, and they'll be interested, and they'll come and see.
You didn't go to seminary. You're not a missionary. You're not a pastor or a Bible scholar yet. but you were still able to share your faith with your mom. How did you go about doing that?
What I was learning at church, and but I was also learning in therapy, because this church helped me find a faith-based therapist to help me work through my issues, and so that was wonderful. And also, part of what saved my life, I was taking what I was learning with my faith-based therapist, and also what I was learning every Sunday. And I was bringing that back home to share, not with just my immediate family, but with my mom and dad, and my brothers and sisters and their kids, and tried to live by example. And certain things that were bothersome before, I just let go. I didn't worry and stress about certain things, because I knew that God had me at that point, and He was covering me. And in the situation with my family, as we're Italians and we gossip. Hopefully you can put that in there, because it's true.
It's true.
It's true. And when we were sitting around that table drinking our coffee, I kept trying to lead the conversation when it gossip. I didn't want to gossip anymore, and I tried leading the conversation to, oh, did you hear about this great thing that's going on? And I think my mom started noticing that, and then when things got heavier and we lost someone that we loved in our family, someone who I was really close to was actually my mom's sister, who she loved very much, and she took care of her up until the day she died, and she was with her every day, and she was really seeing, that her passing.
Yeah.
I was okay with it, because I knew that everything was going to be okay. Like I was like, God will use it for good. This is just part of His plan.
Yeah.
And it was actually the week after she passed that I walked into church, and nobody had joined me at that point yet. And my mom was standing by the door, and I was so shocked to see her, and I was like, Mom! And she just immediately wept and broke down, and she said, I didn't know where else to go. And I said, well, come and see. So she came and she sat with me in the front row, and when we walked out, she walked to next steps, and she was like, I need this, I need Jesus. And I baptized her. We're coming up on 1 year this May.
Yeah.
It's when I baptized my mom, so she took the step and received Jesus into her life.
So you walk into Lakeshore the first time, and you became a Christian.
Yeah.
Your mom walks in Lakeshore the first time after experiencing the new you, and she became a Christian.
Yeah.
And then you were able to build into your mom and help her to become a better disciple, a stronger disciple, and you baptized her.
Yeah.
So what was that like, actually baptizing your mom?
Oh my gosh, that was one of the greatest days of my life, just knowing that I no longer had to worry about her. No matter what happens to her in this life, I know that I never really need to worry about her soul, or I know that we're going to be together forever, and just knowing that brings me a peace unlike any other. But it was just amazing, because now she's the head of our family, her and my dad, who I'm going after him next. But yeah, he's stopping by though. He's interested. But yeah, my mom's, they're the heads of our family, so we're really influenced by them. And just hearing my mom talk about Jesus to my siblings and others, and just her being out in the community, where she talks to everybody, and she's invited so many people here, and they always find her. She's hard to miss. They always find her, and she brings them right up to you or Pastor Brian or Pastor Frank, like, met this one at Target, met this one at Wegmans, and they showed up, So, she's met people on farms and brought, on a pumpkin farm, and she showed up the next week, and I'm just like, she's wonderful. But it's been really amazing watching her walk in her faith. So
that's great. What would you say to somebody right now in our audience who is struggling to share their faith? Maybe they lack confidence. What encouragement could you give them right now to help them share their faith?
So the first thing I do whenever I go out into public, or I'm about to have a conversation with family, friends, or even strangers, is I say a quick prayer that, to the Holy Spirit, guide me, because I know, God tells us He's always with us to the end of the age, That's what Jesus says. And so I know He's with me, so I ask Him to be with me while I go forth and speak to these people. And I also pray for boldness of faith, so I can deliver, my faith in a way that honors God and, that speaks to these people.
Yeah. And what happens if you're unsure of what to say? Have you found that prayer has helped you to have those right words to share with somebody?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the most important thing is to just, again, lead with love, because I want to share the truth, but in order to share the truth, you have to share the love first and invite them to come and see for themselves.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit, He does the rest of the work.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brittany, for sharing your story. And I hope, Lakeshore, you found encouragement in that today.